Hi, and welcome to Hands on Zoom. My name is Nicole, and I'm going to be showing you around today. When we held this workshop with participants a few months ago, basically what it allowed us to do was to go over the material I'm going to go over today and also give people a chance to practice with real other attendees that weren't people who were paying them a lot of money to be there or otherwise in a high stakes way. So, what I would recommend you doing if you want to do this yourself is get some friends together who want to learn Zoom and all agree to kind of log into the same meeting at the same time and then take turns being the host and managing the controls yourself that I'm going to show you here today. So, just a little bit of background information. Zoom is a company with multiple offerings, and their primary, product is web conferencing software, which allows people to use their webcam, like I'm doing now, lets people use their microphone, lets people call in with a telephone, and lets people share screens with one another. And depending on what you need, you could use either the free version of Zoom or one of the paid options. And let me just go over some of the highlights of what those are, at least currently at recording. So the first thing to know, and I'm just going to close my video so that you are not distracted and I'm not distracted by me. The free version of Zoom allows you to have unlimited one-on-one meetings and lots of participants, but it does give you a time limit on group meetings to 40 minutes, which can be a little bit tough, especially if you're doing, say, an hour-long session. The other thing is that you can't really record in the free version. So the other thing that, and this is the version I'll be showing you today, is the Pro version, and that's about $15 a month. It allows recording. I guess you can have a meeting that's up to 24 hours long. I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but okay. You can schedule meetings ahead of time, and because you are recording them, you can actually have some space in the Zoom. You can save them basically to your Zoom account online, and then depending on what computer you want to edit them in or whatever, you can download them from wherever you are to a certain point. And then your higher amounts basically allow you to either, have more people. So for example, let's say that you were doing a webinar with 200 people and you didn't necessarily want to be able to see everyone's face. You just wanted them to be able to see your screen and be able to sort of chat. A webinar format might be best for you. You can have, branding for your company and stuff like that. So anyway, so just know that there are a few versions, but for most people probably watching this video, the free version or pro version probably will be enough for you, and you can add on stuff to your account as you need it. So like, let's say 1 month you're going to do a meeting and then the next month you're not. You could just sign up for 1 month at pro and then go back down to free, no problem. The other thing to know about Zoom is there's a couple of ways you can access a Zoom meeting if you are either holding one or if you're attending one. The first and probably easiest way is to go to zoom.us, and if you are hosting the meeting, you probably have a Zoom account. So in this case, this is my Zoom account. And what I can do from here is I can access, since I have the pro version, my recordings. I can also do meetings. And I can schedule them ahead of time. So if I wanted somebody to meet with me next week, I could schedule that and I could be able to send them the information ahead of time right from this dashboard. So as you see here, I can, and I can also just, if a meeting was in here, I could start a meeting. So like, if I want to schedule a new meeting that was starting right now, I could go ahead and do that. And let me actually take you through those settings really briefly to just show you what some of them are that you might want to know. The first thing is, naming the meeting something ideally descriptive. So don't just say meeting with Joyce. Say, Anchor Space and Joyce Enterprises, web team meeting or something. Because what happens is when Joyce gets the meeting thing that says meeting with Joyce, it doesn't really mean much to her. So be descriptive because both parties are going to see the name of this meeting. And then you have your date and time, pretty self-explanatory. Now, if you say the meeting is going to be an hour and it goes over, don't worry, like in your recording, it's fine. It's going to let it go over. This is just if someone was adding it to their calendar it would block off an hour for them. So don't think it's going to cut you off after an hour if you go over. And as you see, also, you can make meetings recurring. So if you have a check-in meeting at the same time, you can do that. I usually leave registration required. Like, I usually turn that off. One of the benefits of using a solution like Zoom is that people don't need to have made an account. Like if you were using Skype or Google Hangouts, they would need a Google account. They would need a Skype account to be able to join you. Here, they just download the Zoom app, they type in their name, and they're in the meeting. So I just don't require people to register. And then I leave video turned off. Personally, I like people to be able to turn on their own video when they're ready. I don't know about you, but sometimes like I'm opening up a meeting and then suddenly my video is on and I say, oh, I wasn't ready for that. I'm not camera ready at the moment. So I just start, and as the host, I don't mind starting with my video on because I'm expecting it. But for my participants, at least as a courtesy, I just leave the video turned off and allow them to turn it on for themselves. The other thing is that doing video stuff, especially if your participant's internet connection isn't as good as yours, can take up a lot of bandwidth. So this is kind of considerate of that as well. So if they need to, they can, or if they want to say hi, they can turn on their video briefly, but they don't need to have it on in a sustained way if you don't need to, talk face to face to one another. I keep the audio for telephone or computer audio. Sometimes, for example, you can see stuff on your computer, but for some reason, your headphone jack isn't working or whatever, and then they can call in for the audio on the telephone. So sometimes I'm holding a meeting and I'll see like, oh, there's Jan, and then there's Jan again, but in one of them she's on the phone, and one of them she's just watching from her computer because the sound doesn't work. So I like keeping them on for both. I enable join before host, and usually if I'm doing a large group meeting, I will mute people upon entry. What that does is it, make sure that people have forgotten to turn off their sound on their computer, forgot to turn off their microphone. It keeps you from having a lot of background noise. I think we've all, if you've been on Zoom calls before, you've been on a call where someone's spouse comes in and starts talking to them, or like the dog starts barking in the background. And by muting participants, it's just kind of considerate of everybody. As you see, you can have a personal meeting ID if you have the pro version. I just use the phone number for Anchorspace because it's a useful number for me. So I can use this all the time if I want, or it'll generate a meeting number automatically for me. And if I want to just, record it automatically, that's good. I don't have to remember to press record. It'll start recording the second someone joins the meeting. And I can choose whether I want that recording to be on my local computer or in the cloud. What I would say for most of you is put it in the cloud, because if you record it onto a computer, for example, like I did this Zoom workshop when we originally recorded it, I can't find the recording to save my life. If it was in the cloud, I would be able to go log into zoom.us and just download it. But I've checked a couple of computers, I've checked a couple of our files, and I cannot find the recording. So there you go. And then, as you see, I can set multiple hosts. You don't have to have just one host. You can have other people be hosts. And then you can click save. Let me just actually pick and make sure I picked a time in the future. Let's say 10:30. And yep. And so I'm going to click save. And when you make your meeting, it shows you this information. And as you see, I didn't say use my meeting ID, so it generated me a random number. But what I can do if I want to invite some people to this is I can copy this invitation and paste this into an email. No problem. But as you see here too, I can also add it to my own calendars. So it just kind of gives us a summary. And if I go back to the meetings page, now that I've scheduled a meeting, it will appear here. Now, and I didn't name it anything useful, didn't follow my own advice there. So what I can do is I can start this meeting and show you a little bit about what it looks like. So if you're going to host Zoom conferences a lot, you're probably going to also want to download, or if you're on a mobile device, so zoom.us is where you can kind of see all this stuff, and it's kind of the full version of Zoom. But besides the full version of Zoom, we also have the app that we've downloaded. So if you look in my lower toolbar, the thing that looks like a white camera on a blue background, that's Zoom. And so what I can do if I want to is I can join a meeting, And it asks me, oh, for my meeting ID link. So, and I'm going to pretend, I'm going to give myself a different name. I'm going to say my name is, I don't know, and do not remember my name for future meetings. And I'm going to click join. We'll see if it turns on. So now it's asking me if I want to join with my computer audio or if I want to call in. So I guess my participant ID is 27. So, if I say join with my computer audio, it will use the microphone that's attached to my computer or the microphone that comes with my computer to do that. So I'm just going to click join by computer audio and I'm in the meeting. And as you see, the recording is going. So it's started. It is recording because the first participant, which is Smarty McSmartPants, has entered. Now, let me just join as myself, my regular self. And as you see, I can join also. I don't have to be in the app. I can also join within my web browser. Oh, come on. So I'm joining. So I have a tab open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say phone call because I don't want it to be, if I'm taking audio as Smarty McSmartPants and I'm taking audio as my regular self, it's going to have some feedback. So I'm just going to, so there's Smarty McSmartPants and it just says their name because they don't have their video turned on. And if I look at my participants, I see I have me as the host and I have Smarty McSmartPants as a participant. So as you can see, I Zoom.us and I'm running this meeting from my Google Chrome browser, but also I can run this meeting from, hold on, oh, there it is. And this is it in the app and I can see the participants here. So, for the participant view, you can always open up, make yourself a fake name and join as a participant and you can see what your participants see. But from here on out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about what people see who are hosting the meeting because, hold on, I'm hosting the meeting, me. Okay, cool. I'm hosting from here. Okay, sorry. And then I am a participant from here. So I'm just going to minimize this one. As you see, I have both my microphone and my video turned off for Smarty McSmartPants, and I have video turned off for Nicole. So if I want to, though, I can turn on my web host's video. Come on, start video. Allow the use of my camera. And now, as the host, I'm on video. And I can be talking, and my participants can continue to have their video off. So let me stop the video for now. So it's really nice to be able to turn people's stuff on and off. And if you look at the very bottom right-hand side of the screen, there is a thing that says mute all. So as the host, I can mute everybody except for me, which is great. Because if you have a group of people, let's say you have 25 people on a Zoom call and then somebody's dog starts barking. Well, rather than going through all the individual participants and figuring out whose microphones turn on and turning them off, you can just mute everyone very quickly. It's really handy. Now, most of what happens, whether you're in the web browser or whether you're in the app version, is you have this toolbar that is on the very bottom of the screen here. It appears when I hover and it disappears when I'm not hovering. First of all, we have the ability to manage the participants. So if I want to close that, if I don't want to see all the people, I can close that. But if I want to see who's there, I can open it back up again. And this allows me to, let's say I wanted Smarty McSmartPants to be able to share their screen and ask a question, I could make them a host. So I can manage kind of who is sharing what when by being able to manage my participants. But at any point, if I'm overwhelmed, I could just click on it, it'll go away. The other thing is that you have this chat feature. So if somebody asks a question or something like that, there'll be a little number that shows up here showing that you've had a chat message that's come in. So what I tell most people to do is to ask their questions via chat, especially when there's multiple presenters. And then whoever's managing the meeting online can be keeping an eye on chat and act as an advocate in the room for the people who are online. If you're having a hybrid event of some people are in the room and some people aren't. As you see, we've got the cloud recording. It's currently on, but there's this is the little stop button, essentially, when you hover over. And the other thing, of course, is sharing the screen. So if you want to share your computer screen, it will ask you what screen you want to share, and you'll be able to do that. Or you can share an application window if there's a certain sort of piece of software you want to show, but not your whole computer. You can do that as well. So it's really handy to be able to share your screen and show people how to do things within the web recording, or even do something like share slides. So if I had some, PowerPoint or Google Drive slides on this, I could be showing them to you right now. And then finally, there we go. Who can share? I can manage some stuff from there. And whenever I'm done, I can click Leave Meeting. And as the host, I can end the meeting for everybody, or I can leave the meeting and I guess let people keep talking without me. So I'm just going to end the meeting for everybody. And so, Smarty McSmartPants has been kicked out of the meeting. As you see, my little my little Zoom app is letting me log back in. So that's pretty much it. So if I go under my account, and if I go under my recordings, I should see a recording from right now. May 31st, my meeting. That's me. It's processing the recording right now. And once it's done, it'll be available here. What's interesting is that Zoom does an audio only version and a video version, and then there's a couple of files in there. So that's why it says like 3 files, and you're thinking, okay, I thought it was one video. But we have the chat file, we have the audio, and then we have the screen, whatever screen was being shared. So if I shared my screen and then Smarty Pants shared their screen and then I shared my screen again, the recording would reflect that. So don't worry about that. And the other thing that you can do when you have a group of people is you can break them out into what's called Zoom rooms. So let me just grab a Zoom room. And this is something that we practiced when we had a group of us together. Is I'm just looking for what the interface looks like. So what you can do is you can actually, let's say you had 20 people and you wanted them to be able to go off in groups of 4 essentially and have a small group discussion. You can basically set up a private chat room for them within Zoom. So you have 20 people on your call, you can group them and you can be like, okay, these 4 go into Zoom room 1, these 4 go into Zoom room 2, etc. And then as the host, you can bounce between the rooms. The easiest way, honestly, to do this is to try it out. Like I said, just get a few of your friends together and all log into the same Zoom thing and just practice putting them into rooms and letting them do whatever, to have them discuss something. And then you practice kind of going back and forth, just like you were a teacher and you were, walking around the room to the little groupings that you have in your classroom. And then at the end of it, you can take them out of the rooms and sort of tell them, hey, can one person from Zoom room 1 turn on their video or audio and share something that they talked about or something. The main thing that I find with most, that's fine. The main thing that I find with most people doing this for the first time is thinking about what it's like to not be in the room. So if you're used to giving a workshop and you're used to looking out into the group and you're used to seeing their faces, it can feel like a bit of a disconnect to be doing this virtually. And so what you want to do is be checking in with people. And I've noticed that experienced online presenters do this. They'll be talking and then they'll say, okay, so if you have any questions, just a reminder, type them in the chat window. But if you're following me, type I follow in chat. And then they'll wait. They'll wait a good 10, 15 seconds and see some I follow, I follow, I follow. And then that's kind of like that confirmation you need to keep going. The other thing to understand is that, you know, it's hard to say decide that you want everyone to introduce themselves. So if that's something you want to happen ahead of time, it's really helpful to just kind of let everyone know that's going to be happening. So um, to the participants, hey, so our agenda is that, for the first 10 minutes, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. Um, if you want your webcam on for that, you can. If you want to just do it over the, audio or over the phone, you can. I'll be calling your names individually. And just 30, just tell people what's expected and, give them an out if their technology isn't working or if they don't feel comfortable doing that. In the other video I have as part of this workshop, I tell people to tell your participants that you will be there 10 or 15 minutes early. So if the meeting is starting at 10:30, I would have been there at 10:15, and to help the people out who might need a little bit more technical help. And that will make your one or two people who are a little bit hesitant want to join you for sure. So, yeah, in terms of a web conference versus a webinar. A web conference implies that kind of everybody is going to be sharing their video or sort of is going to be able to see each other, and that maybe there's going to be a back and forth in terms of presenters. So maybe each individual participant is going to share something. With a webinar, it's more like what you're watching right now, which is that one person is kind of talking and you're listening to the information presented. And if you would have a question, you would type it in chat or something like that. And those are usually for larger groups of people. So anyway, oh, there's the Zoom room function. I forgot where it was. So, I can create rooms, it looks like, ahead of time, which is good to know. And so like I said, honestly, the best thing to do, especially with the rooms, because they're kind of weird. If you did chat in the 1990s online, like you'll sort of feel like you're in an online chat, but it's with, people that sort of, is to practice it with other people. Also, I will say that Zoom's documentation is excellent, and they also have this little chat window that's on their site, and the people there are very responsive, and they're really into kind of getting you what you need in terms of information. We've also, on the handout, which is included in this course, included some resources we found useful in terms of things that you might want to know as the host or as somebody who's going to be doing these meetings on a regular basis, for easier use. And basically, in this document, we kind of go over a little bit of what I talked about today. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about Zoom, please reach out. If you have access to this course, basically that means that you're kind of a VIP, and we certainly don't mind answering your questions. Or even if there's a couple of you that want to, do a little bit of practice, we're happy to sort of help you facilitate that by finding other people who might want the same thing. So again, don't be worried about using technology to do things virtually. If anything, it makes it easy for everybody. Nobody has to drive anywhere. You can record the meeting in case somebody wants to review what you talked about. You're able to share screens and otherwise see what they're seeing. And it can be a really great way for you to reach whole new audiences that aren't within driving distance of where you're at in the world, without having to spend a lot of time traveling, unless, of course, you want to. So so please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions you have about Zoom. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that this inspires you to bring your business online in a new way with online conferencing. Take care.